Hello and welcome to another edition of the SportsHeads. I'm Andre Dixon, as per usual, stuck in my basement. I'll probably be now due to the new news. So I'll be down here for a little while now. So please help me, please save me, please wash your hands, please wear your mask because we need to get out in this world. I'm joined by my friends, my pals, my amigos, Sam Morgan and Daniel Falui. How are you guys?
Doing well, mate. Unfortunately, unlike you, I'm actually in the office now. So back to work in the office. Yeah, it doesn't seem like our company really cares about the whole. No, I'm joking. They do, but you know, it's just they do.
Shout out to that to Dan's company. You know,
no, I'm joking.
Bringing them back
the company,
into the corporate life. Just rebel.
No, to be fair, I've missed actually working in the office. To be fair, messing around with people, being at home by yourself every day in your PJs working is horrible. You know, so yeah, I actually, you know, shout out to them for actually bringing us back home.
Don't worry, I'm going to walk past you when we're back in the office in the Shard, and I'd literally just walk past you with my full NFL gear, including like maybe NFL pajamas, whatever we choose to do.
No one can see that. No one can see that.
Sam, how are you doing, sir?
All right, actually. Looking from a distance, my neighbours that actually fall into the next tier of lockdown, so I'm still free at the moment. So like yourself, you're locked away. I'm not. I'm free.
I'll just turn up in your garden. Don't worry, it's fine.
Absolutely not.
To teach these guys a lesson, I've brought out the big guns. My friend, Hannah Wilkes. How are you?
I'm really well, thank you. Thanks for having me back. Welcome to the gun show.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, we brought out
so weedy, my arms. They're so
Sky
weedy.
NFL. These guys a lesson. We brought out the Sky NFL, you know, captain. You know, so we're gonna have some fun today. But let's recap first of all. Actually, sorry, how are you and how's been going?
Yeah, no, I'm really well. Obviously really looking forward to our social lives ending again at midnight tonight when London goes back into COVID restrictions. But no, I'm fine, I'm good. I'm excited that we still have the NFL season to keep us entertained, and it's providing a nice escape room. I think like the games have been so flipping good this year. It's just been phenomenal. There's been so many great stories, so many surprise results, and it is a very welcome distraction from the horror show that is 2020.
I'm telling you. Well, I mean, this week in particular, we've had quite a lot of fun with the Titans and Bills game. Like, you know, I must say, I thought, you know, I'm pretty like, you know, well put together guy, as are my friends. But then I realized that we aren't men, because you know who's a man, a real man, Derrick Henry, who handled Josh Norman like a child. He put out his plutonium arm and just handled him like a child. Just get away. It was like almost like big brother, little brother. Did you guys enjoy that?
I did.
Mate, that stiff arm was one. It was incredible. It probably wasn't the best stiff arm I've seen, because that Clay, the Steelers tight end, I can't remember his last name, but he had a good stiff arm last year. That was solid as well. But it was one of those kind of things where Josh Norman knew that stiff arm was coming, because you could see him try to sort of push that, but it's just, no, he should just gone for the legs, mate. He just made a mistake and went for the legs. You know what I mean? I've heard that, you know, Derrick Henry is built solidly, so yeah. About Josh Norman, yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you, I think I'll just give up. I'll hand in my notice right here, down there.
Derrick Henry is an absolute freak of nature. Like, I don't know who'd want to play defense against him. Like, imagine him flying towards you at full pelt. Like, I don't think anyone would think badly of Josh Norman if they'd gone, look, I'll just get out the way, you carry on by. And we saw it throughout the playoffs last year. You could literally see the secondaries thinking, oh no, it's Henry. Oh no, it's Henry. And he's exactly where he was last year. And I feel so bad. So Josh Norman is one of the nicest guys in the NFL. And he's been playing great for the Bills against the Raiders the week last time they played. I got confused with the week 5 ending on a Tuesday. I don't know exactly where I am. The Raiders game, which must have been week 4. He had a great game, and it was good to see him play so well. And then now it's literally had his pants down.
It literally was. Yeah, go on, Sam.
I was going to say, news just in. I think he just retired after that. Because I think you would need to. I did feel for him, and yeah, you're right. I think he ended up having the red cape out for anyone else, just let him go through like the steaming ball that he was. But full disclosure, though, you don't handle children like that. Dre, and you have kids. So I'm just saying.
Listen, I'm going to try it out. I'll
try
it out. I definitely will be trying that out on my way to the fridge, or any popcorn or anything like that. Stiff arms are going out, kids. I'm telling you, no games being played at all.
Yeah.
I forgot the other guy last summer who Dan was talking about. I totally forgot his name. Tight end for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I completely forgot. That's it. That Vince McDonald. Vince McDonald. That's it. Yeah. Like, so I want to see who. I think we will put something up to see which one was better. That handling, or I'm sorry, I've got recency bias. That there, you'll hear this if you was in the next room. Oh, that's what you heard, because it was that devastating. Literally, Megatron and Optimus Prime all in one. Boom.
Yeah.
So, let's go with the actual news that was breaking last night. You got Le'Veon Bell, who's decided, weirdly for me anyway, to join the Chiefs. I will go with my friend first of all. Hannah, what's your view on that?
How is this weird for you? He's gone from the worst team in the NFL to the Super Bowl champions. It's a boss move. It's an absolute. I mean, if they're keen, it's a no-brainer. I think it just makes the Chiefs even more terrifying, right? Once he's up to speed, and think as well, he can carry a lot, but he can also play in the slot. He pass protector. He is such a versatile running back. The Chiefs are already stacked with weapons. Patrick Mahomes has got so many toys to play with in that offense, and now he's got Lev Bell, who, we know he sat out a year with the Steelers. He's not produced at all on the field for the Jets. Like, don't get me wrong, I think he averaged 3.3 yards per carry last year, which is just poor by anyone's standard. But he was in a setup where they believe in him, and I think he's one of those players that needs buy-in, needs backing, he needs to feel like he's the big cheese. Andy Reid as well knows how to sort of run any offense and knows how to get the best out of anyone. So, I mean, I was surprised we saw the Chiefs link with him, because you think, what else do they need on offense?
Yeah.
Seriously, what do they need? There are a lot of
isn't it? It's a cheat code.
Well, a little bit, yeah. There are a lot of teams that could definitely do with his skills more, but if they can get him back to his previous level, then it just makes that Chiefs offense lethal and deadly. Like, it really does. So yeah, I just think it's a baller move going from the Jets, who I think tied with the Giants for the worst team in football, to the Chiefs. Like, fair play to him. It's only a 1-year deal. It's incentive laden, so he's got to perform. So yeah, once he's passed COVID protocols and he's up to speed on their playbook, watch out, league.
Dan, what say you?
Anna, you know what? I do love you, but this one I have to disagree. I think it's a bad move for the Chiefs. I think it's a great move for Bell, because obviously, I think it's a great move for Bell, but I think it's a bad move for the Chiefs, because one, usually when you have too many personalities, it usually clashes, and the Chiefs have the right amount of personalities. Travis Kelce, Cheetah, Honey Badger, they've got the players, they've got the personality. Andy Reid, handles them really well, and you've got basically a top 10 running back in your first year draft in the guy by the name of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Now, do I want to ruin his progression? Do I want to ruin his chances by putting in someone who isn't a cultural fit? You've already seen the offensive linemen for the Steelers talk bad about Bell and his money, and players don't usually talk about people's monies like that. So they've done that. He's come overweight in the Jets. I think it was last season. He's come in, he talks too much on Twitter, he plays too much, he'd rather be a rapper. I think culturally, he's not a great fit for a team and organization that is looking to get to the top. I think you got an answer. Let's hear you out.
I would just counter, because I think there are some organizations and some setups that can handle that better than others. And when you've got a head coach like Andy Reid and a general manager like Brett Veach, they are geniuses in how to manage a football team. I think they will not have gone into this with any naivety. They know what they're getting in him. I think as well, they know what they're getting. They've been really clever with the deal. You've got to make it incentive laden, because he's got to perform. And I think experience. You've got Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who is your running back of the future. That is not going to change. He's a phenomenal young player. Don't get me wrong. But if he goes down injured, their backup's not so great. So you need someone. And he's not just a running back. He's so versatile around the field that I think that's where his problems were with the Steelers, how he sees himself as a player and how they were utilising him. So if Andy Reid said to him, I'm going to have you in the backfield, I'm going to put you out wide, I'm going to put you in the slot, you're going to catch the ball, you're going to run the ball. I don't know, No, I think someone like Andy Reid has got the years experience. They can manage anyone.
It is
See,
a smart
getting there.
It is a smart move. I was going to say, you look at the top teams now, and what they have actually relied on is actually having two running backs that can obviously confuse the system for anyone else. At the moment, when it's obviously short yardage systems, people can be pretty predictable on what Mahomes is going to do. Whereas now, actually having Le'Veon Bell and Edwards-Helaire, you could actually line both up in that lineup right now. Both can receive, but actually Edwards-Helaire catching the ball is not as strong as you think. And actually having Le'Veon Bell in there will actually put the system to the test now and actually give Mahomes the right sort of weapon that he's probably needed. He's now rushing, though. You've got to remember, look at this. Any rookie that comes in, it's always good to have a vet. Now, what vet is there for him to actually learn off? Because they had, if you look over at the Chargers, everyone was all excited about Joshua Kelly. And for this first sort of week or two was great. No real vet there because Eckler's out, and Eckler's not really sort of I'm talking top vet of Le'Veon Bell's standard, and he's still not learning from him for me. So, yes, he might be a bad rep, but when you work in elite sports, you are always going to have these personalities regardless, and there is no one's contract that is going to overshadow anyone's other than Mahomes. He ain't ever going to get to that much. So I don't think it is a bad thing. And what's he going to say? Because all that Mahomes is going to do is tell him to shut your mouth and slap him with his checkbook probably and say, look, you ain't what you got. So I think it's a good move. And yeah, you know, in any sport, strengthen when you can. And if Le'Veon Bell is available, why would you not take that if you have the cap space and the incentives to do it?
Well, so my rebuttal to that is Hannah said, you know, players can fit in with a great system. The best example, Antonio Bell. He went to the Raiders. He went to New England, who've got the best, probably the player culture system. It flopped. And also, do we think Le'Veon is still the same running back that he is? You talk about learning from vets. What am I learning from Le'Veon Bell? To take a step the year out, get paid, but then not really be committed to the game, be fat and overweight, not really perform. Yes, the Jets O-line isn't the greatest, but then also culturally as well. What are you teaching him? I'd rather have a better professional, a Larry Fitzgerald sort of vet to help teach the younger players and to teach that coaching. Do I think that Lev Bell is going to come in there and not really work that hard? Yeah, I do think so. He's got I know you say incentive laden, but he's got paid $28 million for what? 18 games? Like, it's not really, he's done for life.
Let's give Hannah the last on this section because we've got to keep on moving. Lots to go through. All yours, Hannah.
God, we're so impassioned about this one topic. I would say, Dan, that was my one nervousness with this and with where he was going to land. Because if you look at his numbers over the last few years, they've been really, really poor. So I was like, okay, that depends. But all the talk during the off-season was that Lev Bell was set for a bounce-back year. There was all this talk around the conditioning he'd been doing and the numbers he was ready to put up. Plays for the Jets. That hasn't happened. But, you know, like I said, you're not going to have Brett Veach and Andy Reid go into this expecting someone to play at a level they're not capable of playing. They're going to know what he's capable of. And although he might be a little bit disruptive in that changing room, if he's clear on what his job is and he's clear on what he's there to do, and also as well, I think the biggest incentive for him going is if he plays well in that culture, he will get a Super Bowl ring. That's what it comes down to because that's the team they are, which for a player of that kind of character and dare I say it, ego, that's all you want, right? That's all you want. So you're in the best place to get it. So if you don't buckle down there, then you are done.
Hannah just literally dropped the mic on both of you two, which I love. But people, I'm loving it. You guys come out swinging straight away. I'm loving this. Let's just really quickly, just on the Jets. What can I say about the Jets because we're right alongside them being the losingest teams. But do you guys just quickly think that they're done for the season or they're tanking? Are they in the race to the bottom with the Giants to try to get obviously the first round draft pick?
Sam, question. Is that a serious question? I mean, we know.
I tried to dress it nicely. I tried to dress it. Yeah.
No, New York is in a sad spot right now when it comes to football. And when you look at the Jets, yeah, the O-line is bad. I actually think the Jets have got more worrying times ahead than the Giants in terms of putting pieces together. I think when you look at the Giants, at least they can look at Danny Dimes. Obviously, I think he he can be a good NFL QB. I'm not saying he's going to be elite, but he can be a good, reliable QB. Saquon Barkley, we know how elite he is, in terms of that area. So I think that there's a few other jigsaw pieces that they can probably pick up, even if they're the second worst team. But the Jets, they need to go down the Browns route for the next 5 or 6 years, in my opinion. Like, they're going to need to tank.
No, I don't know if they've got that type of patience. Dan, what do you think?
Mate, 2 words. Adam Gase. He needs to be out. How he ruined the Dolphins. And we've now seen players leave the Dolphins, leave his system, and be excellent. You've got Tunsil. He's now gone to his first Pro Bowl in the Texas organization. Tannehill looks like a top 10, top 15 quarterback when we were debating whether he was an 8-8 at best. You've got Jarvis Landry, who's looking a lot like a better receiver at the Browns. I can go on and on about the players that have left and that look great. Jamal Adams, you've let him go just because, he basically didn't really clash with the coach. End of the day, it's your job to coach these players and to do a good job and coach them. If you might disagree, don't do, Bill O'Brien and ruin yourself or sell your own players, basically. He's doing a worse job than Bill O'Brien when it comes to sort of player personnel. And for me, it's indignant of the Jets that you've had top 5, top 10 picks and all your top 10 picks have left. You don't really have anyone that's still there at the moment right now that you can say you've drafted well, you've done well, they've gone off to do anything else. Adam Gates needs to leave. Why the owners listen to Peyton Manning and sign Jets on the recommendation of Peyton Manning is beyond me, because everyone knows Peyton Manning ran his own offense. Adam Gates was just there as a side piece, basically. He was basically chicken and chips and gravy, and he was the gravy for that bit. He didn't do much. He didn't add flavor to the meal, and that's the problem. That you should have really listened. You should have really gone for someone who's going to coach. For an offensive guru, you're 31st in ranked in offense in the league, and you're supposed to be this offensive genius. No, it's Gates. Then we can start talking about the Jets.
So clearly, Dan's a big fan. Hannah, what's your view?
I'm not going to lie. Dan basically just said everything I was going to say. I think it stems from Adam Gase. I think there is clearly a disconnect. And it's funny, isn't it? Because you hear so many sort of cliche sayings in sport generally. Once you've lost the change, once you've lost the dressing, once you've lost the locker room, that's it. In American football, I hear quite a lot like the locker room takes care of itself. And that locker room obviously isn't functioning. And that comes down from the head coach and the culture there and the belief system. Because I feel for Sam Darnold, we have no idea how good that kid can be because of the team he's playing in. But you look at what Tennessee have done with Mike Vrabel, where there is so much belief in him as a coach, and there's so much buy-in to that culture and his style of play from all those players. But look at where they are now. Look at what they did back end of last year and how they're falling this year. I think fundamentally, Adam Gase in New York isn't working. Whatever the reasons may be, that is what it boils down to. And we've already had 2 head coaches go this year. I don't think it would be out of turn to say that he's probably odds on likely to be next. Like, how much longer are they going to accept this? Because it as well, New York is a huge, huge market for the NFL. Both their teams are 0-5. It's unacceptable. It does feel like the Giants have a few more moments where it looks like something could happen there. They're on the brink perhaps of turning things around a little bit and moving in the right direction. But the Jets just seem to get worse. They really do. Honestly, they do. Sam Darnold has his moments. He makes some great plays. But beyond that, I can't. There aren't many positives you can take from them in the last kind of couple of years or so. So, yeah, I kind of agree with everything Dan said. I do think it comes down to the head coach there. I think that is the significant problem, and you see it as well. Obviously with the Lev Bell thing, and they were having this back and forth on Twitter this week. But even the fact that one of your players is like publicly, kind of agreeing with every tweet that says he should be played more and all the rest of it, and you're then responding, kind of going, "You should talk to me privately." Lo and behold, he leaves the building. I just think there's got to be something there and he's wasting Sam Darnold and his good years.
Well, let's speaking of other teams in a bit of a conundrum. Obviously, the Cowboys are in a serious conundrum. Obviously, sad sights to see Dak Prescott, basically written off for the season with a horrible injury. It was obviously horrible to see from such a nice guy. Rivalries aside with the Giants and Cowboys, he's like a really decent guy. And you hope to see him get back on the field as quickly as possible. But the question I've got for you guys, and I'll start off with Dan, is do you feel that Dak will be a Prescott, but do you feel Dak will be a Cowboy next year?
No, I really don't. I think if Jerry Jones was going to pay him, he would have paid him. Dak's been a starter now 3-4 years in the league. He's shown you what he's about. Do I fully believe in Dak on a side note? No. But, end of the day, he's proven he can play. He can live up to the hype and the pressure of being a Dallas Cowboy quarterback. So for me, I felt if Jerry Jones was going to sign him to a long-term deal, it should have been a season ago. In the summer, he hasn't. He's played on a franchise. There's also a lot of questions on the injury and how well he'll bounce back because it's an ankle injury. So do I think so? No. I think if I was Dak, I'll test the open market. There's no allegiance to the Cowboys at this point in time. For me, usually we've seen it, quarterbacks don't get in the market for long when it comes to signing them to a franchise if you really do believe they're your franchise quarterback. So no, I don't think he's going to be.
Sam, what you got?
What direction do they go in? Because I hope they haven't gone and brought Andy Dalton in to replace him, because that's just what is that madness? Will he be there next year? That is a difficult one. I think, like you say, Danny, probably will test it. But for me, I right now, with the weapons that they've been putting in there, it's actually a great place to be for me. And you've got an elite in Zeke there, obviously running back. You just put CD Lamb in there. You've still got Amari Cooper. He's put in there. We've seen Schultz there as the tight end, who's been sort of a secret weapon. I think it is a good place to be. Problem is, he is not respected. But what I know I don't want to talk about the Cowboys. I'm going to talk just solely on him. I think he would be best to go just to prove a point, because I actually think he could go and be a number one QB somewhere and literally, and I'll be polite on a PG show, but stick it to the Cowboys. And who wouldn't want to see the hip warm up, the hip thrust warm up that Dre, I know you practice every morning. Try and get that working, but it's sad times, and you can see that everyone does like Dak for me, because when you got that injury, you saw even sort of people in Dallas, no one's like, oh, good. Everyone's like, we want to protect him. So it seems to be only one person in that building that doesn't want him there, and ultimately it is the person that writes the check. So not great, but fingers crossed he recovers properly and we see Dak in the NFL as soon as possible.
I'm going to switch the question just for you, Hannah, because you're so special. Who do you see? If let's say effectively Dak does move on, where do you see him going? Where do you think is the best bit?
Well, first of all, I do have to just speak on the last question, because I don't think the Cowboys can afford to let him go on the open market, because I think like Sam was just saying, they've got the weapons there. They've got Amari Cooper, they've got CD Lamb, and they've got all these players. Their offense is starting to build something. And you can say what you like about Dak Prescott and whether you think he is a franchise quarterback, but you look at the sheer numbers he was putting up until that injury. He'd broken records. He was on track for a record-breaking season. The guy can play football. The guy can play very well. So, and I think as well, I know Jerry Jones has come out and said this week that it doesn't change his plans for Dak Prescott, whichever way those plans are. Their Vice President Stephen Jones has said that Dak is our future. And I just think they can't risk him going out onto the open market, because he would get snapped up immediately. Of course he would. Mm-hmm. And the worst thing is to have, your franchise quarterback, the guy that you're planning your team around, go play for a rival. That's just bad business. And of course, Jerry Jones hasn't paid him yet, because Jerry Jones is a shrewd businessman who doesn't pay anyone until he absolutely has to. I don't think that's necessarily reflective of what he thinks of Dak Prescott. I think it's when he gets out that checkbook, he's going to have to. That's how you become a very rich man or woman. But in terms of where he could go, I think it's really hard to say when you look around the league, because you just never know. You hear all these teams that are sometimes questioning their quarterback. Obviously, we heard in the summer that the 49ers were interested in Tom Brady, which is obviously not great for Jimmy G. But look at the Colts, right? They've got Phillip Rivers on a one-year deal. They've got tons of salary cap space next year. So I think if he was going to go anywhere, that could maybe be where he ends up. They've got room to pay him. They've got Phillip Rivers not necessarily performing as they'd have liked him to. on this 1-year deal. So I can see that as like the most likely. But fundamentally, I think he will still be a Cowboy. I think it would be really bad PR if they let him go after that injury. Not that sort of Jerry Jones is concerned with such things, but I also think as well the fans are behind him, and I think he is their future, and they'd be really stupid to let him go out as a free agent, because he's going to get snapped up immediately, and you're literally handing someone else your best weapon. It's like when 31 teams passed up the chance to sign Cam Newton, and lo and behold, the Patriots look good again. You just can't.
I mean, the only thing I'll say to Hannah, the only thing I'll say is that Jerry Jones does pay players when he feels like they are worth it. You know, just ask some of the players he's paid, look at the defense in terms of, the players he's paid. I just think he just doesn't believe in Dak. I mean, he paid Romo without Romo actually earning that contract. I just think that there's something in between there that he really doesn't believe in Dak. For whatever reason, he takes Romo. I think he came out last week or the week before mentioning the fact that if it was Tony Romo probably would have put us in that situation, but would have won the game. So I just think he doesn't really trust him, and for some reason, that's why Dak hasn't been paid.
Just quickly, just before we move on to the power rankings, which is caused a lot of controversy. Just in one word answer: if Dak ends up leaving, if Jerry Jones does the wrong thing, where do you think that he's going to be going? So I'll start with you, Sam. Just one team answer.
Oh, why did you go to me first?
Yeah.
It's who needs him and who's got the space. I don't know.
I love putting you guys on the spot.
Yeah, cheers. Do you know what? Let him go to the Jets. I don't want him to. Actually,
I think he's suffered enough.
That'll be a waste. That'll be a waste of Dak Prescott, like it's a waste of Sam Darnold.
I just can't think of another team that actually right now that needs a starting QB.
Oh, I do. I think Hannah, nailed it on the head really when she said the Colts. The Colts need a starting quarterback. Phillip Rivers, I always said he's not mobile enough. They've given him a great O-line. I think he's scored one touchdown in every game he's played this season. So he hasn't actually scored multiple touchdowns. Dak, with that running game, potentially, obviously, Morris comes back really well. Taylor, they've got backfield. They need to maybe, sort of draft a bit of receiver core. And they've got a good tight end in Mo Ali Cox. So I feel Dak and the Colts, Hannah, that's actually a great shout. Kudos to you. That's a really good shout.
Are you going to stick to the Colts, Hannah?
Yeah, I am. I just think, like Dad said, Phillip Rivers, not a mobile quarterback. Dak Prescott, mobile quarterback. Phillip Rivers, near the end of his career, this is meant to be his little swan song, and it's not going well. And the Titans are terrible. Colts, are terrible in the end zone as well. And Dak, he would fill all those downsides. He currently got Phillip Rivers. Dak Prescott can do. That's the one I think would make the most sense, and they've got the money to pay him, which fundamentally is what it comes down to most of the time this week.
You know why he won't go? Why he won't go to the Colts is that no one really needs a QB in the draft, so they won't wait. For me, they'll probably take the elite QB that will come through this, and it's a good QBs coming through the college system. So for me, I think they'll go down that route and use the money elsewhere. So that's the only reason I wouldn't say the Colts. The Jets was just the first thought for me going, they need someone. But
I would be looking, if I was the 49ers, at really seriously at Garoppolo. If you think about Dak Prescott in that actual offense, come on now. Remember, this is the only time that Dak Prescott has actually been injured since he started. So therefore, I think he's quite durable. He'll come back stronger. But I'm hoping, for him, that if he doesn't get that money, then he goes to a competitive team like the 49ers or something like that. Because obviously, maybe there's big questions about Garoppolo at the moment.
The 49ers aren't competitive.
I don't need.
Look at this. This 49ers fans, please, at Hannah, we'll put her details down below. Let her know.
They just lost to the Dolphins. That is not an inaccurate statement. They're currently not competitive.
Hey, give Fitzmagic some props,
There's
fair enough. Still,
a lot of big talk
other
coming from the Rams corner there. So we're going to see. But let's quickly talk about the power rankings. Obviously we've spoken about the loser teams. Unfortunately, one of my teams is one of them. But let's talk about the power rankings at the top end. So the Browns have cracked the top ends of the NFL power rankings. Packers at the moment are claiming the number one spot. Is there anyone at the moment that you guys think should be higher or lower in that list?
Yes,
I
my
started-
Seattle Seahawks need to be higher. How are the Steelers ranked higher than Seattle? I know the Steelers have got great defense, great front seven, one of the best front sevens in the league, averaging 5 sacks a game. I get all of that, Hannah. I get all of that. But you have Russell, Chef, Dijon, Wilson in the backfield. Mate, he's giving you masterpiece. He's giving you Michelin star cuisines on the mate. He's on record to beat Peyton Manning's and Patrick Mahomes 50 touchdowns for the season. How, with Russell Wilson alone, should you beat East? Nah. It should be 4. I'll give the Pittsburgh 5. Plus, also, who have the Pittsburgh actually played that are actually a really good team, can you say? They've got the Browns right now at the schedule, but Seattle have beaten the Vikings, which on their good day could be a good team. They've beaten New England, and we've seen New England really take it to Kansas City. And if they had Cam, I think they would have probably won that game. So we've seen Russell Wilson do really well. Steelers have played, terrible teams. They're not playing great teams. They're not playing, playoff teams or playoff contention teams. Give me the Steelers against Seattle, against Patriots, and if they do what they do, then I'll, maybe talk about it. But for me, that needs to be, rectified and addressed quickly. And they've also above the Titans as well, which I don't like because Titans defense isn't actually that great. The offense, I'll give them credit, is, morphing into something really good. But yeah, outside of that, I think, relatively speaking, they probably got the top 10 right, and maybe would have probably taken New England. But with Cam out, I'll probably give you that. But my only concern is probably being Seattle and the disrespect they give us into the Northwest.
Anna, get in there.
I shall tell you for why the Seahawks are where they are in those power rankings, and that is because they've actually got the worst defense in NFL history.
We don't need stats at all.
You can have Russell Wilson cooking, and no one is arguing that. He is playing phenomenally. It's a joy to watch. I could watch the Seattle game every week. Like, it's great. But in your defense, they did make a crucial stop against the Vikings at like 4th and inches. Don't get me wrong, but that was the one good play from them in the game. Their defense is literally the worst in the NFL. And you can't be high up in the power rankings if you're that one-sided. Like, you have to be a more complete team. You really do. And I think that's why the Packers are where they are. I think the Chiefs, I would kind of argue that based on how the Chiefs defense in particular played against the Raiders, I'm surprised they didn't drop more than just one place down to 2nd. I could have maybe seen only as far as 3rd. Don't get me wrong, they're still an incredible team. But their defenses, I think, are cause for concern. So I was surprised that they didn't drop even a little bit further. But yeah, and for the Steelers, I mean, this is the thing. Everyone's always going to go, well, they've only played so-and-so, they've only played so-and-so, they've only played so-and-so. That's the way it works. That's the way the game play. Like, you can't argue with that. You get it all the time. Like, Seahawks as well. Okay, they've got to play most of the NFC East now for the rest of the regular season. That's an easy ride. Don't get me wrong. Like, but a win is still a win, especially this season when things are flying up all the time. Jeremy, I'm just looking through the power rankings now. I'm surprised how far the Bills fell from sort of down to 7th. With
Derrick Henry pushed them down there, I think.
Derrick Henry literally strong-armed them down. I mean, Josh Allen had a very bad game by his standards, but I think that's a huge fall. And, you can call me biased all you want. And the Rams are 8th, up 1 spot. And I think that everyone's sleeping on the Rams a little bit. I really do. And I know what you're saying. They've been through the NFC East and won games they should have always won, blah, 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 blah. And no one can argue with that. But I think in terms of a whole team, a complete team, they're looking pretty good this year. I say this without my Rams hat on, honestly, just taking a complete objective opinion. But the defense led by Aaron Donald is always going to look good. The secondary is looking good. Their young defensive players are looking good as well. And then the offense is starting to fire again like it was a couple of years ago. So I think they play the 49ers in prime time this weekend, and I think it'll make people kind of sit up and take notice, regardless of how beat up the 49ers are.
All right. Well, let's see if Sam WWE style comes in with the chair to smack down the rest of the other two with his opinions, or is he going to go with the Homer pick, which I'm suspecting you will?
No. First off, I'm going to apologise to all you Cheesehead fans and Ron, Mr. Rogers. I'm really impressed with the Packers. Actually, really, really impressed. And I don't know why you're nodding like you support them. You're a Giants fan, Dre.
I've got bandwagon teams.
In the background.
Two bandwagon teams.
I was massive bandwagon fan.
I need them.
Yeah. Oh, you do. Yeah. But no, really impressed with them. And actually, the Steelers are rightfully there for me. I don't think anyone can sort of deny that. And I tell you what, I'm really impressed with Claypool. Actually, not many. In fact, I think he's the third rookie to actually score 4 touchdowns in his first season. The only one probably in our lifetime is Kareem Hunt. So and Kareem's done all right. So as long as he keeps his off the field activities okay, we could be all right in wide receiver then. You know what? That is something that actually, if you look at Big Ben's always relied on good receivers. And Mr. Brown, once he started messing around, then obviously we saw Big Ben suddenly take a bit of a dip as well. So yeah, it's quite good to see them up there. We're getting those traditional elite teams back up there in the power rankings again. So that's probably why the Seahawks aren't where they should be, where they are. Actually, probably about right for them to be about mid-table, should we say, in there. Getting back to traditions.
Poking that bear.
Yeah,
see, Hannah, this is what I have to deal with every week. Honestly, carry on, Sam.
Just Sam, with your Chase Claypool appreciation, can I drop my favourite fact of week 5, 6 again? I'm confused. Can I please drop it? He is. I didn't get to say this on overtime this week, and I was gutted. He is the first Canadian-born NFL player with 3 receiving touchdowns in a game since Joe Rooney for the Duluth Eskimos in 1927.
What year?
That's great.
1927.
Bringing in the facts.
That's a long time. That's some good facts.
Aren't the Duluth Eskimos everyone's favourite forgotten football team?
Yeah, mate. Obviously. But no, Sam, going on what you said, you're right about Pittsburgh. They, for some reason, when you look at Pittsburgh's wide receivers, they do draft really good wide receivers. I think that's a shout out to the league to like maybe watch what Pittsburgh is doing, because forget you got Emmanuel Sanders, you've got Antonio Brown, you've got Juju, you've got Claypool. Mate, they can draft wide receivers. I'm never worried about wide receivers when it comes to Pittsburgh.
No, 100%. I think that's something to say for right now. We're actually seeing how well the business has paid off. Obviously, no one knew what was going to happen with COVID as well, but actually it's a testament to see how well these rookies are actually doing right now, considering they had no preseason snaps. And I think now we're only really going to actually understand where people are going to be. I wouldn't take these power rankings right now. This is probably the truest reflection of what we're probably going to see, but I'd say give it another couple of weeks. And unfortunately, that's just the league's going to be like that this year, just because of the lack of snaps people have had, and injuries are taking their part because people didn't actually get the real-time snaps. They weren't even able to do contact practice till week 3 or 4 of what they were calling pre-season. For anyone that watched Hard Knocks, you can see how tough that actually was. So these are great, and I think are a fair reflection right now.
Right, so go on, Hannah.
You almost look at the top 4 right now, and you can see that being the AFC and NFC Championship games, right?
Yeah.
You've got the Packers. In fact, that's not quite wrong. Only the Packers there. You know the Packers are going to be there. You've got the Chiefs, Ravens, Steelers. You just feel like that's leading to what it's going to look like come January.
I feel like you're missing the name. Seattle. Seattle's in that.
Do you know what? I glanced and thought this really works. Actually, the first NFC team is the Seahawks, and they're 6, which says a lot about the AFC this year, doesn't it?
You know what? When it comes to your guys' showdown, I think we have to have a show designated to this, because this is
box style.
This is getting quite punchy. I'm absolutely loving this, guys. Because you naughty kids have actually made us run through a lot of our allotted hurry up time. What I want you guys to be able to do is pick a game that is that sticks out to you this weekend, that is a must watch. One game, Hannah. One game that is a must watch. I think I'll start off. I'll start
3,
off with
so I'll let the other.
you, Hannah.
So I think for me, the one game
you're special. Them 2 aren't. So you go for it.
No, what I was going to say is I have 3, so I'll let the other 2 go first, and then take what's ever left.
All right, Dan, go for it.
All right, cool. I've got the Packers, the Buccaneers. I think it's a Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers matchup. We haven't really seen them play much in their careers. Yes, Tom Brady's at sort of the latter end of his career, but it's still going to be a great matchup. Offensively, we're going to see what Tampa's going to come back with, because Brady's been really upset with Tampa, the way they've operated, the offensive fouls. New England's only had 3 offensive fouls with a new QB. Tampa's had, 12, 14 or something like that. I'm not sure the exact numbers, but you can see that Brady's upset with the way the system is in, and so it's going to be a complete cultural reboot. So it's going to be interesting to see that with the Packers, who are playing really well, and Aaron Rodgers is playing at a second MVP level behind Russell.
No, hold on now. I can't let that one slide.
Move on. Sam. Your point. Your game.
Mr. Rodgers, that bad man, is playing at an elite level. But I do love Mr. Wilson, because he is my quarterback for my fantasy team. So he's doing me quite well. But Sam, let's move on to you.
Yeah, let's not get onto fantasy.
Damn right.
So yeah. Actually, interestingly, I'm not going to go with sort of one of the big hitters. I will say, obviously, the 49ers and the Rams do obviously play each other this week, and obviously that will be an exciting game. Although we've just talked about how bad they are with Mullins being there as your main man, so I think that will be an easy win for the Rams. But I actually want to talk about the Vikings and the Falcons, just because of the failings in both organisations at the moment. So this is a good chance for actually one of them to go, right, we need to actually put a win on the board. But I just think they really need this. So we're either going to get a very cautious game, or we're going to get fireworks and actually have a very high scoring game, and actually something that would be quite entertaining to watch. So I'm actually looking forward to that one. And obviously, shout out to Steelers and the Browns game, because actually those used to be, again, a given. But actually now something actually to play for. And I can see Hannah looks like she's ready to talk about that game.
She's ready. I love it.
My annoying finger. I don't know what this is. I've done this a lot today.
Yeah, you got
yeah, I think it's Brown Steelers for me, which incidentally, guys, you can see live on Sky Sports NFL on Sunday.
I love that.
so I think both these teams are obviously in great form. Steelers had a bye week last week, but they're 2 weeks ago. I'm so confused between week 5 and 6, guys, with all the movement around. Like, how many times have we done that? Anyway, both these teams have won 4 on the bounce. You've got 4-1 for the Browns, 4-0 for the Steelers. They're completely unbeaten. And you've got so many interesting matchups. I think the one that is quite fascinating is Myles Garrett, who is playing brilliantly on defense. He's leading the NFL on QB pressures, and you've got Big Ben, who is leading the league in terms of quarterback play on a whole range of metrics when he's under pressure. He's phenomenal under pressure this year. So I think that one that's a great matchup on that side. Odell Beckham Jr. against the Steelers defense. I think he's back to playing his best. And back at the form we want to see him playing under. Plus you've got Chase Claypool again, which after last week we want to see what he can do, and can he be consistent, because I know people have been trying to sweep him up on fantasy football waiver-wise, myself included. So I think there is so much in this game, and it's a real test as well. Obviously the Browns are the big hype train right now in the league, aren't they? Everyone is excited to watch the Browns, and I think the Steelers, you look at who the Browns have played, they've got wins over Cincinnati, Washington, Dallas, Colts. I feel like this is the real litmus test for the Browns, and partly for the Steelers as well. When you look at some of the games they've won, but I think historically the Steelers have got that winning reputation. I think this for the Browns is a real test of where they actually are in 2020.
Honestly, these controlling these guys this week in particular has been very testing. I think I'm going to need a nap after this. Hannah, can you tell us what games to look out for on Sky on Sunday?
I can. So, as I mentioned, it is the Browns Steelers. That is at 6 o'clock on Sky Sports NFL. So coverage starts at 5. And I'm just going to double check so I don't get this the wrong way around, because I have. Yeah,
let's not upset. Let's not upset.
So we've got Browns Steelers at 5 from 5. Then your 9 o'clock game is Packers Buccaneers. So I feel like this week I think is a great lineup, and then the late game, Sunday night football game, is of course Rams 49ers. So I think that Sunday night, that is 3 great games. Bleary eyes all round on Monday. Yeah. And we've got a double header of Monday night football again as well, because of the schedule switcheroo. So yeah.
And see, there cannot be enough football. I will definitely make sure that we get Hannah on as quick as possible. Maybe next week or maybe the week after. We'll convince her to come back on.
This is so much fun.
Because she comes in with the swinging, and just like, I'm saying that she's going to have that belt pretty soon. Obviously, it remains here. Guys, thank you for listening to the show and for watching. obviously, make sure you check the links down below, and we will see you next week, where I can possibly control these guys and keep to the hurry up time. Peace.
See you guys later.